It looks like winter has finally arrived here. Today we're going to be doing some final things that need to be done really before it gets too cold. The first is we had a local excavator drop off some gravel. I think this is about 10 yards and they have another 10 yards or maybe 2 more trucks coming. I asked them to spread it around. We have the implements for the tractor to do it, but frankly I don't really want to spend the time and it'll take them seconds to spread it. It's just going to be the area here in front of the barn where mostly sand is currently spread, and it should help get water out of this area. The final thing is we track so much sand everywhere now, and getting the road gravel here will clean everything up quite a bit. And if you look down, it's just sand everywhere, so that road gravel is well appreciated. Second is I'm going to try to be building a little box with the leftover 3-inch rigid foam around the water tank here. The water tank itself has a heat blanket on it, but the pipes here leading from the well there up to the tank are obviously uninsulated. So I'll build a little box and that should keep the whole thing warm for the winter. The hose coming out of it is heated, but that hose is not enough to reach the camper. So that's something we'll have to watch. We'll probably just keep the water running overnight and hopefully the hose won't freeze up. What do you think? What do you think? Is it a nice day? Is deer season almost here? Yeah, I know it is. Do you got your fancy orange jacket on for deer season? Yeah, you do. Winter is definitely here. We spent the morning casting some seed. I bought an acre worth of wildflower seed. It's Michigan native wildflowers. Really pretty stuff. And we scattered it all along the driveway in these cleared areas. It's a quote-unquote woodland edge mix. So that means that it only needs about 4 hours of direct sunlight a day. So hopefully along the driveway in this wooded area will be perfect. I also added a cover crop to it, basically annual rye, and I just spread that around as well. Hopefully the combination of the rye with the wildflowers will bully out a good chunk of the weeds that might spring up here, but it's still going to require a bit of hand pruning. We tend to get wild raspberry that just likes to take over everything, so we'll have that to contend with. We'll also have to deal with all the maple seeds. They drop everywhere and sprout quickly. A little bit of pruning shouldn't be too bad as the year goes on next year. Some of the soil is kind of sandy, and I'm not sure what our results will be, but we're hoping it looks good. The wildflower seed is pretty light and pretty small, so what you see mostly when I zoom in is the rye. Anyway, wish us luck. It's not cheap to buy native wildflowers. I think an acre's worth was like $1,200, and we spread about half an acre's worth. So it's a big investment. It's going to be a bit anticlimactic next year. Wildflowers take upwards to 3 years to fully root and to mature to the point where they'll flower. That's another reason why the rye's there is hopefully it'll kind of fill stuff in next year and make it look okay while the wildflowers are taking root. We don't want to actually have to spend much time on the driveway. The nice thing about wildflower is you'll mow it once or twice a year, and that's it. That's the amount of work that we're really looking for here. So next on the list, we're gonna go back to sheathing. We have a bunch of projects that we're juggling right now. Obviously, we want to finish the lean-to roof here. But we really want a nice day for that. Day like today, the whole thing was ice up there. Just condensation and cold temperatures. So since it's north facing, it still stays frozen and slippery until afternoon actually, which doesn't give us a full day. So we're probably just gonna wait on the roof until we get a good day and then kick butt on it once that day occurs. In the interim, we're gonna just keep going through the sheathing. Rather than pushing up the back wall, we're actually gonna try to get 2 courses along all these walls here. The building inspector was over today and he passed our building. I had intended to bring him over just for the roof of the lean-to so we could have some spray foam put in there. But with the progress that we have, which is substantial I guess, he was satisfied to sign us off for the whole thing, which is awesome. I mean, the porch isn't even roofed yet, but he's satisfied. One of the interesting things he did say though, he gave us a suggestion of an area that he wants to see improved. The rafters for the lean-tos, specifically the 3 center rafters that are attached to the outsides of the posts. He wants us to use some engineered fasteners that are rated for the loading of the porch roof. I think the calculation for 60 pounds per square foot of snow load for this was 2,400 pounds per rafter. So that's probably like 6 screws. So not a big deal. The nails that we put in there are 60 penny nails and there's 10 of them total, but he wants to see something rated. No problem. He commented that he hasn't seen the bookshelf girt style up here before. So, you know, this with the toenails, he hasn't seen that. In my opinion, probably for good reason, I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't do a bookshelf girt like this again. I would wrap it on the inside and on the outside with kind of purlins, which gives you a nice flat nailing surface. But yeah, I mean, that's it. He's good to go, which is absolutely amazing. So we have these brackets on all the corners, and in some cases they do stick out a little bit, about 1/4 of an inch, maybe 3/16. So for these examples, we're actually cutting out a little bit of the foam so that the foam can fit snugly up to the bracket. Winter is definitely coming, and with all of our gravel all down and compact and looking pretty good, I figured it was time to get a turf guard on the plow. Right now it's just a normal blade, and that blade is easy to cut into the ground and the gravel. I want our driveway to look as nice as it does now come next spring. A turf guard is basically like a pipe that they cut a slot out of, like lengthwise, and then they slide it over the edge of the blade and pin it on. Usually they have to drill a couple holes through the plow body, then pin it in there. But I'm gonna try to get this guy into the pickup truck bed so that I can bring it to a local welding shop that does turf guards. So I'm not quite sure how to get it in there. Maybe I can stand it on edge. It doesn't seem very stable, but big enough for the plow blade. It's got to go sideways, obviously, but we'll try to figure it out.
Yeah, that's as far as mine's gonna go.
Alright, then I think we're done then. It's good. All the weight is on the fifth wheel brackets there, so it's kind of balanced. It's fine. It should be fine, I think. I just hope they have a way to get it out. It's a cold, cold morning, around 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Amazingly enough, we didn't lose our water on the camper. We left it running all night, and neither the drain nor the inlet lines froze up. We don't leave it running much, just kind of a trickle, but apparently it was enough to keep everything moving and prevent freeze. It is supposed to get in the 40s Fahrenheit today, hopefully, where we can tape some of the zip that we put up. Yesterday was just too cold and too wet to tape. This area here had a huge gap yesterday. I'm talking like a 3/4 inch gap in some areas, and that's a lot to ask zip tape to cover. So I started caulking it with some polyurethane and quickly figured out that we would go through an insane amount of caulk to fill a hole this size. So I stopped that and grabbed the foam gun and put some foam in there. All right, today is the second course here. So we got this one up late last night into the dark and it went fine. So we'll just keep wrapping around the building. We'll do this one here and then we'll go right along the side here and finish that up. Hopefully it's warm by that time so we can tape all this. This surface is so important to tape because we don't have the roof on the porch yet. All the rain and melt comes right off the main roof, comes down here, hits the concrete and splatters everywhere. So we gotta get tape on here before we get a good amount of rain. Otherwise this thing is just gonna get ruined very quickly.